It is Monday, January 14th, 2019. Oh, that sounds interesting. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Charles City Community School District to order with roll call vote, please. Here?
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Reading of the district mission statement and core values by Director Dite, please.
Our mission is to engage, inspire, and empower students and staff in order to maximize learning. Our district core values are best for all kids, family, committed leaders, passionate, and invitational.
Thank you. Approval of agenda. Is there any revisions or additions?
There's none. Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'd like to welcome the visitors and offer public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to comments by board members and superintendent.
So board and superintendent, goal one, professional learning. I wanted to share we had a really awesome purpose retreat. We had all of our staff meet at the FFA Enrichment Center. We thank them for allowing us to use that. And we had Youth Frontiers come in and really lead our staff on discovering their why of why they are in education. And it was a great, even at times emotional day, but a positive piece. We also had a great lunch catered in by our FFA and donations from our staff. So shout out to our FFA who really did a lot of great work, and our teacher leadership team getting that set up. Board Superintendent Goal 2, Culture and Climate. Culture and climate surveys have been sent out, and we're already working with those. Our team leaders are processing the data and analyzing it to figure out what areas we need to really focus on. So there's actually some targeted interventions coming from our administration and leadership to continue to improve culture and climate, and that's very specific by each campus. Lots of positive from before Christmas. We had run-out concerts at the banks and the local businesses from all of our fine arts. There was caroling at the middle school one day. We had gingerbread houses at the Washington, and lots of celebrations. We had parents and different people in, so more than I can even possibly list here. Board Superintendent Goal 3, Facilities and Infrastructure. Jerry and the team are doing tremendous work in getting quotes for our future summer projects, some of which we'll review tonight, and also from our retreat that we had. We're excited about strategic planning, which we'll talk about from our retreat, and we feel, and we had an hour-long meeting with Jerry today about how we're being much more proactive, doing preventative maintenance, really feeling like we're on our toes instead of our heels. You know, I always say we want to play offense and not defense. And then I wanted to say, notice how clean the shop is, and a shout out to Jim Lundberg and his students. If you could have saw this before, it was very full of a lot of equipment, and we made a nice gain in our auction that we sold from here, so it's kind of cool to be here tonight to show that off. That's what's going on in the district.
Excellent. Any additional comments by board members? Student board members?
We had a really nice retreat, I think, for the negotiations committee. We had an opportunity to work with some of the teachers, and some of the board members got together, and I thought it was really beneficial to learn about some of the things about the teachers that I didn't know, and to get us geared up for this really exciting contract negotiation that's coming our way. That was really fun.
If you were following the school Facebook page, you saw a week ago or so that one of the accounting classes at the high school was studying income taxes, and with the sweeping tax law changes, I was asked to go in and assist with one of the classes from my other job, but it was a nice opportunity to present to the students and talk about how to do a simple income tax return, which now the simple instructions are 117 pages, so.
Excellent. Any additional comments? Move on to committee reports. I see there's none, but I will mention, Josh had mentioned negotiations and compensation. It was an awesome opportunity to have that day and some together. Looking forward to that. To negotiations. That's interesting to say. Moving on to high school design fee proposal. This is an action on an exhibit item. You've seen the things in your handouts, in our exhibits. for us to look at. I would entertain a motion.
I have a couple questions. The first one, in the contract on page 2, it talks about reimbursable expenses. And they go into a little bit of detail about that, but have we gotten any clarification on specific things that they would talk about, like are travel reimbursable expenses, or are those included, do we know?
It was travel reimbursements, you know, hotels and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I can get that itemized out a little bit more, but, you know, basically their travel costs coming over to the Charles City.
Okay. And then the other question I have is on page 3, the dispute resolution. They talk about if we have a dispute, that it would be governed by the state and the laws of Illinois. Since the work is in Iowa and we are in Iowa, I would wonder if we could change that to be in Iowa as opposed to Illinois.
It's something I can look into. I think just because they're based out of Decatur is probably the basis of the contract, but that's something that I can look into. Yeah.
It's probably where the licensure is held to and where it's enforced, so that might be something too.
Yeah. But barring those two things, I didn't have any other questions.
And I can get clarification on the reimbursables, but my understanding in our last meeting, it was just the travel costs coming over here. And so I could get, you know, if it includes food and those types of things. That I wasn't under the impression it actually included food, but I can look into that.
Well, they talk a little bit about like 3D modeling or additional blueprinting plans, things that are outside the scope of normal work that could be reimbursable at a specific charge, but it doesn't have the factor that they have the 1.10 reimbursable. So, all right, thank you.
Move to approve the fee proposal with BLDD Architects for high school renovation remodeling project preliminary design as presented.
Having a motion and a second to approve the fee proposal with BLED Architects for high school renovation remodeling project preliminary design as presented. Is there any other additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for all those in favor.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 8, committed leader. This is going to be an information exhibit presented by Rob Pittman. Welcome.
Just plug in right there, and Justin can help you if you need anything. After the presentation, we'll go mobile to go actually see the rock wall. You can go up on the stage if you want, or you can just stay down in the gym area if you prefer.
Perfect. It's going to be disappointed if there wasn't one.
So, thank you guys for letting me present. This is, I don't know, this is kind of a dream that I've had for 2 years, going on 3 years now. So this is the CCHS rock climbing wall, Genesis to fruition. Where it first got it started was at Backbone State Park. Josh This is a picture of one of our first kids ever rock climbing. That is Zion Jordan. He was a great young man to have in our community. I mean, he'd never been in the woods before, so we just totally just dug into it. Knighton, who's now like a pop star, he was here in our first one who did this. At the same time this was going on, my two daughters, they were going to rock climbing camps in Des Moines, Iowa, and Grimes, which is just northwest of there. You can see them doing it, and they just were loving it. And as this was going on simultaneously, I said, I'm going to have this at our school. So kind of how did it start? 2015, 2016, our school district started project-based learning. You know, I built a sod house, I built tons of stuff, all different kind of things. It's just something to keep me kind of new and excited. We started our expeditions class, and then in the summer of before 2017, 2018 got started, I just started to say, I think I can do this. I want to do it, and then I said, I'm going to start writing grants for it. One thing that we did was we had High Tech High came and gave us a symposium where we had, it was 2 full days. We generated different ideas that we wanted to do. We did tons of different things. And for me, my best moment was I went up to them and I said, hey, I want to build a rock climbing wall at our school. And they looked at me and they're like, man, that's a moonshot. You're not going to do it. You know, it's a little big dream. And I only signed up for the first day because the second day I wanted to work on things. On the second day of the thing, I got a call from Walmart Blue Cross Blue Shield saying I got an $11,000 grant. And it was a very good joy. I went up to Josh and I was like, hey, who was that guy who said that I couldn't do it? And I was like, hey man, I just got this grant for $11,000. We're so going to make it happen. So that was kind of some of the inspiration for me to make sure I kept doing it. Where did all the fundraising come from? One, I got it from Walmart Blue Cross Blue Shield. Our Excellence in Education Fund has been an awesome resource for this school district, and they've helped me on many of my different things. I got a sizable amount of money from First Security. The school district has helped cover, as part of that $11,000 grant, it was for every $2 they give, we had to give $1. And so to make up that other bit, with a lot of help from
Terry.
I also did an obstacle course race where tons of people in our community helped raise a significant amount of money, and that's me, Billy, and Silly trying to do that. After we got the money started, we started laying out the plans. Mr. Lumber and I did some talking at, I want to say, Sienna Sonberg's graduation party, or maybe it was Taylor Schmidt's, and he was like, hey, let's do this. As that was going on, I was like, I can design it. I had students do some 3D design. I drew up some plans and stuff, and then I started to do the math and I got scared. So on a whim, I went to Bergman and Cram Architect Firm. It is just east of the mall as you go down the main drag in Mason City. And I went in and I just pitched the idea to them. They had one guy, a gentleman by the name of Doug Forshoot, who's came 3 times now to check our progress on the wall, make sure that we're hitting all of our things that we have to do. And him with some engineers created plans that meet specifications that are good, sound, and solid, so that what we created is set. The downside was an additional cost that I had not budgeted. The upside, we got up-to-date code plans, and it was, some of the math is very, very tricky. As the angles go out from the wall, to make sure that all of that stuff lines up is very, very important. And probably intelligent, not intelligence-wise, problem-solving wise, we were having ideas about what should we do for a relay bar, which I'll show you guys inside on the stage, but their engineers said, why don't we just put these certain things up with the plates coming down, and it solved our problem like that.
Excellent.
And then, once again, it's Mr. Lumber and all the students on Project 19. They are some of our best problem solvers in our school district. And, they're indispensable. I hope Mr. Lumber, I hope you teach for a total of 40 years, what I really, truly enjoyed was the construction. It was student-led and student-built. Maybe the most active student is that young guy with the big, bushy blonde hair coming down. That after summer period where he would stay an extra hour to keep working on the project, but he made it happen significantly. When things didn't go quite right, he was a guy, the first time the architect came in was he wanted to check the frames. Everything that was done wrong, he was like, we'll get it fixed. By the end of that day, he got it fixed for us. You can see him working with another student by the name of Colton. I wish I had some more pictures of this. The students, they were totally in charge of getting all the frames, making sure everything was done, and then getting it up to the stage. And then this, for the size of this project, this is where we had to say, we need help. You know, and I would love to have like done it and try to figure it out because I like doing scary, stupid stuff. But the professionals at Quaid Construction came in and they did it spot on. You know, you can see Mr. Lumberg, who was the guy in the yellow shirt? Is that Jake or is that Josh? He was the son. Jake, former student of ours. He was their foreman on this thing. And as you guys can see, they basically put a small little winch up on the blade bar on top, and they put those things up. They drilled in the holes. They had a special epoxy that went through a sieve that then created a plug. I mean, they did things that, like, yeah, I could read about it and figure it out. They do it right after failing like 3 or 4 times, but they nailed it out and made a great. They finished it up for us. You can see on the left that is them putting on the boards, our climbing panels. On the right is their finished work for us. They have our blaze, our auto blaze set up. They have not the self-blade, but the regular blade, and they did everything perfect for us. And these guys really put forth a lot of effort, and they're like, we want this here for our school. Where my class got more active into it, expedition students, you can see it as they started to set the routes for it. Throughout this whole entire year, we've done things where we've gone from examining what people say, calling different rock climbing gyms, but really our best help that we got was in combination with Sergeant Johnson and the National Guard. We went to the rock climbing wall at UNI, and a very intelligent man, his name escaped me because I'm still thirsty, but he used to actually Coach Williams at UNI when he was wrestler, but he's the guy who does the ice climbing in silos, and his name will pop in my head.
Miller?
Say what?
Miller?
No, it's not Miller.
No.
But he, with the help of one of his prodigies, helped give me the idea of basically creating the group. And you can see kind of on the left, we have a young guy by the name of Carter, and they're just kind of figuring it out as they go. I put different sized people in each group. So Carter's about my size. I gave him a guy who's about 6'3", and they just started to have to work it out. I also challenge him. There's a whole bunch of different rating systems for rock climbing walls for the types of rock. I said, you guys have this, you have this rating, you 2 groups have these other 2 ratings. You have to try to make it get there. And if it was too easy, I was like, now you got to adjust it. And then what we had to do is we had our first 2 groups sign up to go and do it, outside groups. And so they also had to adjust it for ages too. You know, so something that's a high school kid, that's Caleb right there working on it. He's maybe our best climber at the school. What he can do, you know, my 10-year-old daughter can't do. So how can you make those little adjustments for it? I would love to have had it been a little bit more, but as every time I tried it, I wanted to go a little bit higher. This woman was like, safety. I was like, you're right, absolutely. So as you can see kind of how it is they did a certain amount of setting the holds, and then our great Mr. Mitchell, along with Kent, and some of the other guys whose names are escaping me right now, they helped set up the lift for us, and then I go up high and set the different things. That is our first climb there on the right. One of the other things that, if there's, like as expenses go in the future, I would like to make sure our mats maybe get a little more solid and firm, but we're good for right now. But 2 years from now, maybe having some better ones can easily be there. And I'll show you, but you know, what we have works. Probably one of the great big problems that Mr. Lumberg helped solve, and it was just good and solid, and the kids helped generate the ideas for it, is just setting up the different ways to make sure that kids can't go up the wall when nobody is there. And that is, me and Ben Nauman helping to install pieces of plywood that fold up when it's not in use. And then on the right is the finished wall. And then here's just some pictures of the expedition students doing some of their first climbing. That is it, except for this. Where do we go from here? I'm happy to say that with also with the help of Lisa in the front office, I've been able to get signed up to become a certified climbing wall instructor. I just got an email as I was sitting here from a rock climbing group in May that I'll be able to take the class. So everything that I teach to students will then become like an official thing that will be recognized. The second point, supervision of local scout groups. We've had great interest in that, and like I said, we've already had 2 of them sign up for it. In an indoor rock climbing thing, I did a lot of different discussions with Lance Lasher. I mentioned this to him, and as I take the class, kind of where I'm going to be next year, is do a thing where it becomes a little bit of a job, where we have a partnership with the YMCA. We'll figure out how many days a week, but basically, if you were 2 days a week, if you're a Y member, you can come here to the school, and we totally talk and make sure everything is solidified. That's just the first idea. And, you know, there would be, I think it would have to be some students 18 years old. I would be there to help everybody get started, but have it where they would manage a rock climbing wall. And we can get into more details if we don't want to do it, then we want to do it. After I get my certification, train students to be belayers is something that I would love to be able to do. The one thing that we need to discuss as a school, and if you as a school board want to like add to it, a lot of gyms, when people climb, they have to sign a liability waiver. You know, to ask our lawyer about that and see, hey, this is what, you know, we have this, where do you guys suggest that we do? Is it the same thing as sports? Where, you know, I think there's some things that have to be similar, but if we have to do something different, would be my big question that I would ask. Do you guys have any questions for me before we go take a look at the exam?
So just one quick question for you. Once you guys started the build, how long did it take you to get it from blueprints to fully erected and ready to go?
It started in the 3rd week of September, Mr. Lumber, and last week we climbed.
If you had to estimate, how many hours do you think it took you? Everybody together to make it?
Everybody together.
Because we're talking like man hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking,
Say 5 kids, 3 hours a day.
and we're talking 500.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good estimate.
What's a commercial rock climbing wall cost?
About $100,000, $100,000. And that's for one smaller than what we did.
So maybe half the size or so?
We got 4 rings and they would be probably, because that was one option that I thought about doing. And with the money that I raised, I was like, we can get so much more by doing this, you know? So, I mean, the total is easily under $22,000, $21,000.
That's really awesome.
That's very awesome. Rob, have you and Mr. Lundberg, Jim, ever done any projects together before? Was this the first time that you've worked?
He saved my butt when I was doing this. And it collapsed because students don't cut sound at the same distance. I don't know where a landscaper like I was. And he came out there and created a solution for it. It made me happy.
That's good. That's good.
That was like the only time you ever seen me actually freaking out.
This is real. Do you have plans to grow this into more even? I know you've talked about training the kids to run the walk wall. What is your big, tell me that. That's always exciting.
There's a lot of people who use that gym, so that they would have to be taken into account. It can start out very small. In a lot of gyms, they have things for strength of rock climbing, and it's very much in the sense of some stuff that Ninja Warriors do, but they're basically called fingerboards that can be added to the sides. I would like to build also, when we see the wall, we can show it. We can also have, say, another area that's maybe about 12 feet long that is a bouldering area for students who who don't necessarily want to go as high, but still want to be on the wall doing different things. And then also for that area, I took the wrestling team along with Coach Fink to this place called Ninja U down in Cedar Falls. And I mean, we can build a 12-foot work wall, we can build a salmon ladder there. We could add, a different stair thing where kids would have to climb like this. Anything to keep students active. The big thing that I'd like to add on record, as my wife and I were discussing this over the weekend, we are a targeted school for test scores, aren't we? When the student goes on the rock climbing wall, and as they are physically, kinesthetically moving and having to solve the problem as they move, the neural pathways that are connected between the different parts of their brain, that bond is going to be stronger than any other academic thing that we do. If I have a kid thinking about a primary source, if I'm having somebody go, you made this claim, you do this evidence, what's your reasoning on it? They make a pathway there, but that internal problem solving, there have been studies, and my wife does a lot of brain research for some of the things she does. She's like, that pathway is going to be a significant stronger link that will last students longer. And when I heard that, I was like, I know that. I was like, problem solving anytime is good, but to do it physically, I mean, it makes sense.
Excellent.
I like that. As we built this, Mr. Fenton gave us some blueprints. They're on a piece of typing paper. We were using them. I literally went a lot of training in my class.
It's like a
They said, why can't we have a big copy? He said, because it costs too much money. When we finally got the walls done, they did a great job. The architect came over and he said, why don't you guys have a big copy? He goes, here, you can have mine.
No.
I was like, why didn't you just sit it? He's like, I thought you guys had a printer that big.
It was a challenge. I'm literally looking at the bank. On what size screws?
I tried to show up.
Do you think this is something that we can replicate in the elementary schools?
I know at Lincoln, they have in the cafeteria, they have 8-foot high panels that they use as a bouldering area, which I think is an excellent, good place to start for it. Pardon me? I think what would be interesting is if we use the middle school on the gym wall, and we put a spot that could go outside and have me doing stuff there. And that's where, after I get that certification, we could have 2 to 3 spots, and they have me holds and things that would go into it, and we could put it on the outside of the
Outside,
block
actually.
wall, and they could keep doing it and keep coming up.
Now there's the dreaming that I was looking for. There was the dreaming I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys allow me to do anything,
Excellent.
Awesome.
Let's go look. Yeah.
everybody's going to be brave enough to try it.
Why'd you get that?
That's the Mr. Montgomery. And said, can I put it in your garage?
That's a good idea.
Past here.
Make sure you don't get the volleyball.
Hey, Scott's gonna have to go out to the door and then stand on the gym floor.
Mike, there's a door right here.
And Aries Ray, who I wanted to have try, because Aries has done the National Guard one. And so,
are these panels that you have to buy, or are you going to make them?
no, these are ones that we bought. There's a company called El Dorado Walls out of Colorado.
Hey, we're pulling these on my
And you can see the backside of it there.
Oh, yeah.
And they are very, very good at making rock climbing walls. And I mean, I would love to put more of them. Like, I want to have boulders down. But that just this costs like $100,000.
Hey, those things can't do it.
Come on. I know. So I went to engineer design them because then I get some good uniform. And as you can see, this time of day, we started to work on because I was about, I mean, the screws that are on the backside do not cost a lot. They're all good.
Very things that you consider like a level 2, 3.
Yes, and like I said, that's the great construction. He helps with the back. That's the main one involved.
Can you like lock it up? So people
Yes.
So this folds up and
So
then it
this
goes on
folds
this?
up, we have the chain on this side and 2 locks. And that way kids can't access it. And you just get rid of it.
Bob, what is this material and that's on the face?
It's just texture.
It's just texture.
Yeah, just to help if you want to, you can cut on and feel it's very
These
much
they said about the
touch to it.
Yeah, they take about the pills.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
No, I'll go another time. I will another time. I do want to do it, but I will another time.
I think, what do these two mats cost? 1,600?
Together?
No, together it costs 900 for about
So you need 4 more, essentially?
And then we wrapped all of these for less than
I took our old trash mat for less than $100.
So good? But no kids around, I've done about 4 days of this. That, I mean, just felt
I always know this was gonna be where it was, or did you go walking around?
No, we knew it was gonna be in this area. We got pictures just on the route. We carried them from that shop and then through those doors. We think about how to get them in. So we had about 12 kids on it, and then carried them through, and then in the fourth
Okay,
section.
you want to try the easy one first?
And I started thinking, we're gonna have to get that bar up before we have to do that. Well, we had to have a contract. I said, the liability of one putting kids up there, we couldn't do that. And then two, to make sure that was fast and just. Up through the shop. Now, the contractor didn't use that. They put a cross That's Yes, and that's to spec with the architect. Yeah. Engineer.
Have you ever looked up at the ground conditioning that on the ceiling?
Now, grab it and let yourself drop. Just grab the cord. Just Yep, hold on to the balloon. This is the guy in front of the net. All right, here. Hold on. Hey, would somebody want to hold this for him? Yeah. We got to grab the chair here.
Terry, you're next.
Terry, you're gonna do it?
You can go to the one on the left, that's easy. We'll just put you up to the left, right? Oh, good, so happy with that. Yeah.
So how many students have done this? So that's more difficult.
Yeah, this, yeah.
So in my expeditions class, so we've had 20 kids who have climbed it significantly. Next semester, I'll have another 20 to 25. We'll regularly do this once a week.
Okay.
So because we go climbing 3 times, and hopefully the school will let me start doing it where I can take kids. And with my children, I set top rope courses out in the different state parks. And so to do that, this one gets tricky.
So are the ropes already on those courses out in the wild?
No, I've learned how to set those and take my own classes for that.
So you climb free
Yep.
up there and then set the ropes and then they go.
No, I usually walk up to the top, set all the anchor points,
And then they climb in there. So is that what that little thing is right there, the blue one?
this is the blade that we would use on this here. Our next stage that we have to do before I want students to do it is we're going to cut these 4 panels out and then put in a metal little U hook so that kids can be anchored. So then that way, that's the ultimate safety step. Like when my wife belays me, like we went to Palisade Kepler before wrestling season, and like she's tied into a log because I wear just a speech and stuff, so that helps keep me on the balance. Yep.
Oh, hey,
Hey, do you guys want to try this?
do you want to try it?
This side here is pretty easy and solid.
He's taken his girls before, they've done it.
Yeah, we were there.
Do you want to try it? Oh, you got me something?
Look, Mom, we got you something.
You're not going to take
better,
it,
right?
sorry.
Thank you, Thank you.
You go first.
Yeah, how are you? Good, see ya. I was good the last week ago Saturday, really excited.
Really good, yeah.
And then, boom.
Went downhill in a hurry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it can bounce back.
Yeah, I hope so, but the schedule don't look good. I mean, it's,
Oh, that Big 12 stuff.
it is.
Playing the Big 10, I think.
Yeah, that's clear. That's very, very true, very true.
I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm take off now. Yeah, no problem. Well, nice to let him do this stuff.
No, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's you can see the kids' fingerprints on it.
Jerry and his crew, they were huge in this too. I mean, we kind of got down on the hook.
Well, I'm excited too. We'll get the rest of the pictures out. We'll paint that wall. And
Yeah.
Nate Roth has some other crazy plans. You know, the salmon ladder.
Yeah. It's just a good thing for our school. Who was it? It was in here the other day. Oh, I know. They did these J-term things where I got the other.
Yeah.
There's the accident about the pictures. So my classes when we were building the panels that looked up, I'm like, holy cow, these are
You're all on camera.
better than New Hampton, trust.
I legally can't cut
All right, good luck.
I was gonna ask
because it's a public
When's the
meeting,
first class? Oh, okay.
and unless Robin declares a recess.
Manufacturing right now.
So
Oh, she didn't declare one.
she
didn't.
Just leave it, no. In fact, all this stuff is still here from when the architect went.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, we just had to get it set up. So, John, yeah, we're good.
Okay, we move on to agenda item number 9, lunch program presentation. Isaiah, our student board member, is going to share our information on the school lunch focus group. Take it away, Isaiah. Yeah, that's a good client. Form together, doesn't matter which one and when which one, doesn't matter.
What are we doing?
Pouring these two cups together.
Pouring these two cups together.
Pour them together?
So, I want to show you guys gave me the assignment of going and visiting elementary schools and middle school to see what kids like and then like on school food.
Yeah.
And my assignment, high schoolers, elementary schools are very different. Elementary students, almost every single one I asked said something about fruit or vegetables in their description of what they like.
Really? That's
And they also like the variety they have too. I mean, when I was there, each student probably had a full tray. Meanwhile, you go to high schoolers. They like the variety and everything, but they don't enjoy the food because it tastes bland or it's gross. As Justin was pointing out to me earlier, he said he tried, what was it? Chicken Alfredo. Chicken Alfredo, so he hated it. Because his daughter hated it.
yes.
And some school foods are like that. High schoolers, they make it seem like every single one. Except for chocolate stickers. And they do typically take fruits and vegetables, but some people just take the bare minimum just to get people on. Otherwise, they could, they just grab their main course and back to the seat. And it's such a big problem because, one, Iowa is the top 20 of each states, 15.3%. And my generation is in like that. Millennials. Because we like the variety. And the problem is, we've adapted to chemicals as using that. And these chemicals, one in particular, find a fast food and it causes cancer. It's alkaline, and it forms at very high temperatures, so mainly when like deep frying everything. So McDonald's will get it if it's overcooked or whatever. It mainly happens in starchy foods, so French fries. And that, and also we found cigarettes and cigarettes themselves. Now the problem is not just the show, but it actually due to the human body because it takes so long and so much time to start affecting effects. So no one really knows for sure what it will do in the long run. And that eventually leads into our sugar habit that we all have. And sugar is probably the one addicted to most drugs. You find it in just about anything, including sometimes water. You bottle of water can have up to 4 grams of sugar. And if you have energy drinks like these, you can get 27 grams. It's going to be another chemical you can buy in the go. And that eventually leads to bad habits. And now you get people who are addicted to pop or coffee. Most of you are drinking coffee, but coffee is a lot healthier for you than pop. And
Without the sugar and cream, right?
well, we don't put that, so other than that,
Okay.
I can find black, so it's not me. But I can go with my mom would always drink these energy drinks. And I remember one time clearly she actually gave one to my brother and sister who were with me. Their eyes lit up like fireworks and they were say something. My friend said, showers and all the way to your bedroom. It's kind of getting just like work. And right in here. I was like 8 when I traveled for like 7 or 8 years. But most of the world thinks differently than we do, actually. Because culture affects what we eat. And the culture we live in right now in America, it's fast food. Stop at the gas station, get something. Typically that's unhealthy. And you don't go in there and you can see vegetables lined up on the walls and you don't care about it. But in Germany, they potatoes, veggies, and meats. That's what they got. And they grow those back there, so it helps them. Here, we have corn. Vietnam, and also in South Korea, you get noodles and pork and rice. It's their culture. America also likes to incorporate other cultures, which does not know because then you start getting mixed emotions with what we actually can do over here. Almost every single country is like Chinese restaurant, somewhere or Mexican restaurant. Here we have 2 Chinese, 2 Mexican, 1 Mexican. And we even have some out there, Crispitos, the orange chicken. But those actually don't really represent those countries because those countries have fresh food, fresh vegetables, fresh meat. We get most of ours frozen and packaged and not local.
It has to contain sugar.
What's that?
And usually has to contain sugar.
Yeah, a lot of them too. And that's what I could say. Sugar, fast food, more sugar. And what marketing likes to do is put it on these when they know children are watching. I guarantee you, every student here, they've watched these channels at least once. And every commercial break is probably at least one ad about food. It's probably cereal or candy. And still, when I watch ads sometimes on TV, I mostly see the Reese's peanut butter commercials. And the way they advertise it is so that you want it. They don't care if they don't make you obese or anything, they just want money. So, that's the problem. We have marketing, they want money. They don't care what the obesity rates or death rates or anything like that would say about sugar. They just keep going. And that's when you get your monster, your iron drinks. And those, you have to stir those around and spin them quick.
And some curdle.
Yeah.
You notice, it becomes very, very dense.
Coagulated.
Gross.
Gelatinous.
And the thing is, you guys stir that, and then you change the comments. That's where it is. Every day I see a single, one student, after lunch I'm forward with one of the ones on the comments. And I think we drank one of those, and drank the milk, and one right afterwards. That's what you end up with. Nothing. Michelle Mama, people here, this year in high school, she changed the food program. And she said, we are well on our way to building healthier schools while our children born today will be accustomed to eat healthier food during the school day. So their normal wheat fruits and vegetables and not chips and candy. When her husband wasn't a separate true. Now it's still a problem. It's still people still can't eat, it's still about, it's still everything. Sugar or some other benefit from away from the school. Solutions, you could always incorporate more variety. I know every day I go for lunch, I always expect the same food, same vegetables, but it's not a different thing. It's either pineapple, apple, oranges, the usual. Every once in a while, you know, sliced apples or whatever. After a while, it's kind of boring, and students, especially the juniors and seniors, after I Less social media because we should have a lot stricter social policies. Every day, a teacher buys me a student to get out their phone, to play on their phone. And you go through like Facebook and all that stuff. Depending on what they've actually liked and are following, sometimes it's actually commercial and ad about candy, popcorn, counts, or whatever. And so that influence of seeing a competitor, psychological, is making it more. Especially since it tastes a lot better than what we get here. And actually today, there's also a point where the students playing back on his phone. So, the teacher didn't say anything, and it's the point where there's attachments of blue. And water. It'd be better to replace this with some sort of like flavored carbonated water in that because carbonated water and flavored water have a lot less chemicals and sugars than a single cannabis would for the student. And some of those carbonated beverages too that don't have calories or anything like that taste pretty good and they have a caffeine boost with them too. So that can substitute into what the energy drink provides, but a lot nicer, cleaner way than what it can do with milk. Any questions?
The distributor that carries the Monster, that, do they have something that we could replace that with that would work in our machines then? Do they have something in a can that would work?
Same distributor, I don't know what key she gets most of this from.
Okay. So I know, because obviously it must be a can machine if we're distributing cans of Monster.
Yeah. I mean, they do have flavored waters, but
That's something, that's something we can ask about, you know, what are other options in there?
I think his points are valid.
Yeah.
We do a lot to try to keep our kids safe, and we've done a lot with our lunch program, trying to give them options. I don't think we have to give them bad choices in the vending machines.
I think too, Isaiah, would be powerful is if you were to continue to sit with some focus group people at the high school, because when they have voices in the collaborative decision rather than one day the vending machine's different, that's always going to be, you have people that sort of depend on that right now. So it's, how can we collaboratively find that middle ground? So I think that's something you and I can continue to talk about and work with Mr. Jern and how we do that.
I know I see some students going with like different varieties. The one they see different flavors in them. They buy it, it's not a big of a deal, but it's a good variety and things like that. It's eventually. Any other questions?
I see food service is on the agenda for the SAC meeting again Wednesday evening.
Yes.
So be interesting to talk about food service and the different options again when we meet this week.
I'd love for you to be there, Isaiah, to continue to share your input from what you've heard. What were the other things you heard from other students? So was it on the other day big themes that you talked to kids around the district?
Kids, and the other side of it, just one is what you said, that's the other big thing. Washington, some of the teachers actually made them sit in rows, or whatever, that kind of confuses them, but it also makes them focus on eating, and they use social interaction, which is big for them, because they only like 20 something. We're at high school science people do is we have to pick our classes, set their own classes. And we also have our own time to eat when we don't want to. Other than fruits and vegetables being the main big points, that's all. That ends.
If you were to go back when you were in elementary school, would you say fruits and vegetables were your big points when you were in elementary school?
What was that?
If you could go back to elementary school when you were in elementary school, were fruits and vegetables your big, did you see the kids liking them like the kids do today? Or are we changing their taste buds?
Before, when I was little, it was more heavily forced to get it. She's about the younger age. And we typically seem like keep forcing some of the food policies on younger kids in high schoolers. Because high schools have
Because if I'm thinking right in time-wise, the Healthy Kid Act didn't come about until you were possibly in 3rd or 4th grade. So there would already been those formative years that you would have not had what took place there. And I'm wondering if maybe some of what we're seeing down there at the elementary schools might be a product of that.
See, I think that's what eventually will happen. Is, well, what's happening to them, like in fruits and vegetables, and food as a whole, that'll probably carry on past their generations and them. But for the modern generation today, it's, at least in high school, it's
We wrecked you in the beginning, and now we can't fix you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's hard to change it one at a time.
Did any of the high schoolers have any suggestions as to what the food could be that would make them want to eat it? I know some of what I've asked too. Some of them just being able to leave campus is just part of the adventure. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not so much what we're serving, but it's. We were to maybe set up our high school food service program a couple blocks down Clark Street or something like that, and offered for them to go there. But
The breakfast that you guys that they're doing Crossroads in the morning, that's a lot of students when some people get, sometimes their alarms break or they stay up all night or whatever. So sometimes they wake up late and don't get to school till after breakfast is closed. So that kind of helps them get that. Breakfast for high school is more important than probably for 3rd graders in high school sometimes.
yeah.
Switch around a lot more, remember a lot of things in elementary school.
That's good. Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thanks for doing your due diligence. Continue on. Moving on to agenda item number 10, lobbying at the state capitol.
Just wanted to give an update, and it even says here a date to be announced because it was very fluid as we worked with the other partner boards and other partner superintendents, and I would double confirm with Justin again, February 12th is still good, correct? So February 12th was the date we did finally settle on. We were even discussing it today. I even spoke to more superintendents. I had an Iowa Big North meeting, and they're very excited about going. A lot of great information. They highly support it. They say to them it's more valuable than the day on the Hill through ISB, so they're excited about going. This list could get even larger, but Nashville, Plainfield, Howard Wynn, Rudd, Rockford, Marble Rock, Allen McKee, and Osage right now is a preliminary list, but I see more people getting on board. Justin got information out to them as well, and kind of some expectations in RSVPing, but we're excited about going out, and we'll get more logistics, when we're going and vans and whatnot as we get closer, but February 12th, get that date penciled in.
February 12th. All right, excellent. Agenda item number 11, facility retreat overview. This is another informational item.
Just wanted to share some information. So Jerry Mitchell and I, Director of Operations, spent, about 4 hours. We squirreled away at NIAC, so I want to thank NIAC for letting us use one of their conference rooms here in town. And we just went through a fine-tooth comb with the Estes report on the ICAT, and also developed some operating procedures and operating protocols for facilities, whether it was funding and how we were going to approach a long-term projects. Also based on, we had some driving questions, health and safety is first, but then what can we do to be a more invitational district? So looking at things to balance those things. So we're really happy that, and Terry, as the Director of Finance, had some great input on those protocols on budgeting and those different things. Right now, we feel really strongly you're going to see tonight the 2019 summer project list, and you're going to see some differentiation with that as well. We're even working on 2020 already, and we're also working on a long-term, long-range facilities plan. That's still in the internal review process. Been working with the board committee on that, and we're be happy to share that publicly once we get a final draft or some external input. But really working with our staff because we know they know best what our facility needs are. But I want to appreciate the board giving some great input on that as well. But I think one of the big things would be as we look at our carryover reserve funds, earmarking some of that each year to do some bigger projects that really are not health and safety focused as much, but really that invitational, what makes us a destination district. So you see tonight, for example, the Washington Playground, things like that. And also we were able to give Jerry some additional breathing room in his budget as well, because he's got to take care of health and safety, buses and Suburbans and roofs and those different things, but also how can we keep moving the district forward in the right direction. So I just want to, if the facilities committee has anything else they'd like to share from our meeting that we had.
Excellent. Thank you. Agenda item number 12, Internal Technology Connection Project. Here again, there was information presented to us in our packets. Is there any other discussion or questions that need to be taken? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Question on the high school for this project. This is all plug-and-play material, or things that we're purchasing. We're not looking at wiring, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding, a lot of it. The big thing was the switches. I know that's when our switches go down, I know that's a huge risk for us in terms of network pieces. I'm getting real out of my wheelhouse, Director Max, so
But
if you want to
are
correct
these-
anything that I'm saying wrong, but that's my understanding, talking to April.
These are
Yes.
things that could be used in a new school if technology hasn't changed 5 generations or even 2 generations by the time we get to that point?
Well, reading her proposal of her request for bid, she's asking for some expansion in terms of what they have, calculated what currently is in use, and asking for a replacement of it. She's not specifically asking for a brand, she's just asking for technology. Whatever we purchase, most likely would be able to be used in any facility that we want. If we have a different size of the facility, we would have to calculate that based on what the need would be, right? So I could equate it, if you buy a pickup truck that's a half-ton and you start doing work that requires a 3/4 ton, you only can do so much with what you have, or you have to expand your capabilities.
But even if it's 2 or 3 years before a new high school were potentially built, do you think we'd be buying new equipment anyway at that time because of changes in technology? Since this is more your area of expertise as a board member.
Well, technology changes very quickly, and I would say that it would be difficult to say whether we would need to buy something new or not, since we're not there, but I would guess that we would expand on whatever we have.
Okay. I just wanted to check on the plug-and-play part or the potential use
And considering
in the
much
future.
of what we're looking at is renovations, there's going to be a lot of existing infrastructure that,
Okay.
would have the pieces already in place, so.
Okay, thank you.
And she does mention in this request that they want to expand in current areas that we don't have capabilities.
Right.
So one might be the common gym. If that needs some expansion, maybe she would reuse some of that equipment, or something like that.
And I know in our discussions, we've been judicious, just like with our signage, for example, that we're not going to invest money into areas that we would foresee might not exist down the road. But we have quite a few areas that will exist down the road, so, putting our money, being
Right.
judicious there.
I do have one question related to it is, does Mrs. Hanson have a plan to do all the work herself to get all this new stuff in, or is she looking to have someone help her do it, or is she gonna, does she have students? This seems like a lot of work for one person to get done in.
We've had those discussions, and yes, they're pretty inclusive. Her and John Carpenter take care of themselves. We have been, we are working on right now hiring high school summer help with them as well.
Awesome.
But the thing with the summer help, though, a lot of it's going to be, we're going to have them trained doing a lot of Chromebook maintenance. They've been doing a lot of that, but the summer help can, with students, which is a great internship opportunity, do some of that work and it frees them up for other things. But,
Awesome.
yeah, they're going to take care of themselves.
Great. She definitely looks like she needs some help to get this all done in time.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve the Internal Technology Connection Project at an estimated cost of $250,465 as recommended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Internal Technology Connections Project, an estimated cost of $250,465 is recommended. Any additional comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 13, 2019 Summer Facility Projects. There again, we've been presented the information that's in our packet. We have a list of the projected projects. Is there any discussions, any questions?
Mr. Fisher, are these in order of priority or just in an order?
No, they're just in a pretty random order. Actually, the way we assembled this list, we had all of our senior leadership putting into a list as they go around the district and see what are the needs we have. And then what we did, part of our work was to Jerry and I then did a lot of triage. What's our highest priority? That's why a lot of the summer 2020 is already, we're working on that as well. In addition, there's obviously a lot of menial stuff on here, you know, there's a couple trees that we need to take out behind the press box, but you know, the cost on those minimal, we're doing that work ourselves. So everything here was anything that had a you know, considerable cost, you know, really around that $5,000 or more threshold.
Motion to approve the summer 2019 annual facility projects totaling $832,912 plus $250,000 from carryover funds as listed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the summer 2019 annual facility projects totaling $832,912 plus $250,000 from carryover funds as listed. Is there any other additional discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 14, high school section L roof specifications. This is also an action item. Is there any other discussion, questions?
Move to approve the high school section L re-roofing project specifications as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the high school section L re-roofing project specifications as presented. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 15, high school section N roof specifications.
Motion to approve the high school section and re-roofing project specifications as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the high school section and re-roofing project specification as presented. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda carries 5-0. Washington L roof specifications. More information in our packet? Go ahead.
Just to say, I'll make a motion to approve the Washington L-shaped re-roofing project specifications as presented.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the Washington L-shaped re-roofing project specifications as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 17, application for modified supplemental amount of dropout prevention programs.
Motion to approve the request for modified supplemental amount of $421,380 from the Associated Spending Authority, which is solely for the purpose of implementing the district's board-adopted at-risk dropout program as recommended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request for modified supplemental amount of $421,380 in the Associated Spending Authority, which is solely for the purpose of implementing the district's board-adopted at-risk dropout program as recommended. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 18, staffing updates.
I want to share a few things. You'll hear about some staffing changes and staffing additions, and I want to, being good stewards of our taxpayer money and understanding where that's going, I want to understand our philosophy. First of all, I want to thank the board and the previous administration and Terry O'Brien for the tough decisions that have been made in the past to get our district, and I'm going to use this word, you'll hear me use it a lot, right-sized. As I analyze our district, we have the current staffing levels that can appropriately serve a district of 1,500 students. And what that's important to know, as long as we stay at that 1,500 or above, also considering cost of living raise increases as they come, we can stay in pretty good financial shape, and that also gives me a benchmark of knowing where I need to push and keep our enrollment at. So again, I want to thank you for that work, because the heavy lifting already happened. One thing that we've really been looking at is protecting the general fund. We know the general fund is the biggest thing that's going to drive budget, cuts and different things like that. So I've been very protective of that. So there's been very little additions to the general fund this year. In fact, we've added no full-time staffing from the general fund. The only thing we have done is added fractions to backfill some previous cuts in clerical, assistant athletic coaches, and music lesson assistants, like 2,000, 3,000 here, because we were a little lean in those areas. And I'm also really happy to announce, and I know this is previous from the board as well, we got Jerry Mitchell some on-call assistants. We now have an on-call cell phone. He doesn't have to take the emergency calls at night and during the weekends. He actually has some time off. And actually, with on-call pay, that's been great. It's also going to help out with the activities and the rental
rentals. He gets a lot of calls. Now somebody will also be able to handle those calls and actually go and show his calves and do things and have a life sometimes outside of school. That's going to start next week. The other we know was a big piece was spending our categorical and restricted funding down, and we made that a priority this year. That was a board priority in the high need area. So some of the additions you're going to see, for example, would be special education. We have a full-time para plan. We're going to convert our half-time para positions into full-time paras, and that's going to take time. It'll be a 3-year plan. And I will tell you, it may raise our special ed spending this year, but over the next 3 years, as Terry and I did some costing out on that, it could actually decrease our special ed spending over almost $250,000 over 3 years because of the ratios and how it works out. But there'll be some turnover and things that drive that. So, spend money to save money down the road. And again, that's modified allowable growth, so it's not special general fund there. And then also, you're going to see we've added an interpreter with ELL, but we use Title II money to do that. But we had a high need in Spanish-speaking students. We're also adding a counselor. We know we're in a trauma-informed district, and we know as behavior and different things come with students, we want to get more support there. So we're actually adding a counselor to get more support there, and we're using all Title IV funds, so federal Title IV funds to pay for that. So again, we're not having to use general fund. The other piece we're maximizing is operational sharing. So operational sharing is, put it this way, free money from the state that's on the table if we so choose. I've been real clear, and Terry and I have talked about this, we don't want to share our current people. We're lean. Again, we're right size at 1,500, but we're serving 1,540. So, if you think about that, we're pretty lean. So, but we could add staff with the state funding. Also knowing that in 5 years, this could be renewed by the state or not, and if not, we're just upfront with the people that we're hiring with these positions. But we are going to add a pending your approval and council approval, which you'll see coming down the road in a future board meeting, human resources director with the city, that we would share 60-40, and that'd be cost neutral. It wouldn't cost us anything to do that. We've structured it that way, and are also looking at, for next year, pending your approval and future board meeting, sharing a counselor with Waverly Shell Rock, so half-time here, half-time there. We'd use operational dollars to share that, and so that way we're actually able to add 1.5 additional counselors to our district at a minimal cost. So as you see some of these things come up, I didn't want people to go, oh gosh, man, is the administration going on a spending spree? We are adding staff, but we are very much being judicious on how we're paying for it.
Standing. Excellent.
Superintendent Fisher, one question. You said you moved some people around and put them on Title IV funds, which are federal dollars. Mm-hmm. How does those federal dollars get affected by the shutdown right now?
I don't know if I know the answer to that question right now. When do the disbursements come, Terry, for Title IV? They disperse. The question was, does the government shutdown impact the disbursements on our title funds at any point?
No. I asked about that. I called it passed down to the state if the Title IV monies she felt, and again, that's her opinion, but in her opinion, would still continue.
Okay. Do they pay on a quarterly basis or a yearly basis or a monthly basis?
I'm having hard time.
How's the Title IV funds dispersed? What's the timeliness when they're dispersed?
They set up a new program now where you have to go in quarterly and submit a claim.
Okay.
So it's quarterly that we receive funds from them.
Right.
We're not receiving funds on a monthly basis from them.
No, and it's not just, equally divided amount. You have to actually show in a ledger what you spent, and then they'll reimburse you that amount only.
So,
and then if there's left at the end, you can carry it over as long as it's not over like 10% of the total.
So in your example, so for Q4 of 2018, you would make a request January, and then they would pay you for expenditures we've already incurred, right? So they're always paying us behind.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
And the council position wouldn't start until the next fiscal year. Currently, our Title IV funding is mostly used for some technology purchases and different things, which we would add to another place. And so, we actually had conferred with the state before because we wanted to make sure this was an allowable use through this council work, and they were actually commended us on us finding a real student-centered approach to using these funds.
Awesome.
Good.
Agenda item 19, audit report for 2017-18. Mrs. O'Brien.
So the audit report basically is giving you the same financial information that you got in the CAR. so I'm not going through any of the financials in it. They actually didn't make any adjustments. The only, finding they had was, in the certified enrollment, there was one student, overstated, so they wrote a letter, and then when we do our budget, we'll take that one student off.
I'd make a motion to approve the 6/30/18 audit report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 6/30/18 audit report as presented. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 20, financial report for December of 2018. Terry.
Actually, nothing much to go through in the report. Right now, just working on Obamacare, Affordable Care Act stuff, and office is super busy.
And I just want to publicly thank Terry for everything she does. I mean, there's so many things. She's one of the, I heard this when I took the job, you have one of the best school business officials in the state. You hear that consistently, and she's blushing over there, she denied it. But, and also,
We know that.
working with a new leader, I also know is a new change. So she's breaking me in well, and, but we've had really great conversations about being innovative, but also being sustainable and being, that tension between being conservative and protecting ourselves, but also being innovative. So I just want to thank Terry for everything she does.
Excellent.
Motion to accept the December 2018 financial reports as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the December 2018 financial reports as presented. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration of consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda items as listed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items as listed below. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Correspondence or miscellaneous? Anyone? You'll see our upcoming dates as listed. Our next board meeting will be January 28th at 6:15. We'll let you know where. With that, I will adjourn the meeting.